Welcome to Case by Case. We want to just take a moment and remind you that this content is intended for adult audiences. It is created for educational and informational purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised, as discussions may include references to real criminal cases, violence, and other sensitive and potentially distressing topics. While we strive to present every case with accuracy and respect those involved, the material may not be suitable for all viewers. Please proceed thoughtfully. And remember, if you need to take a step back, if you find something that concerns you, if you find it to be triggering and you need to take a step back, please do. You can join us whenever you're ready to come back. We'll leave the light on. Well, hello from Case by Case. I am coming back for day 3 of the recap of the Colin Gray trial. If you aren't familiar with this case, my first episode goes into it a little bit, but the bottom line is a father is being charged for the crimes that his son committed as an active shooter, school shooter. The reason is because the state alleges that the father knew about his son's issues, emotional problems, crying out for help, harming himself. And instead of doing things to help his son recover, he bought his son a gun, a shotgun, and he didn't stop there, but he actually let his son have full control of the shotgun, which stayed in his son's room with complete access to this shotgun. And as a result, the son did take the shotgun, killed 4 people at the school, and wounded others. So, today was all about the layout of the rooms, the layout of the classrooms, the layout of the hallways, to get kind of a feel for how this thing took place. And it also was, there was also testimony from a Georgia Bureau of Investigation firearms expert who came in and spoke about the different weapons and this type of weapon. The medical examiner came on today, and there were, while they did not show it to us, it was shown to the jury. So the jury did see very quick. The state said they were making it very quick and they didn't want to drag it out, but they do have to do this by law. So what they did is they just showed the deceased, and then they had a medical examiner come in and talk about the autopsy findings so that they can meet that requirement. One of the most interesting things that happened today was a teacher who testified. Now, she actually was a counselor as well. I don't know if she actually taught or if she was just the counselor at this point, but on this particular day, she was the counselor. And a teacher had come to her and said to her, "Look, I've got a student in my class. He's only been here a couple of days, and he's carrying around a book bag that's got something sticking up out of it, and he's got poster paper wrapped around it, but he's struggling to carry it. It looks really suspicious, and when I asked to see what project it was, he wouldn't let me come near it. And he's only been here a couple of days. So what project is he possibly carrying around in his book bag? So this teacher was really on top of things. And she said she just felt like something was wrong. She just, in her years of teaching, she felt like there was a problem here. So she did the right thing and she went to the counselor's office. But the counselor, and the counselor took action right away. I mean, this was not something where they waited. The counselor immediately went to pull this child out of class, or because he had left class, go and find him. The problem is there was a Colt Gray who did the shooting and was carrying around the weapon, and there's a Colton Gray with a Colton Gray. Not realizing, and because Colt Gray was so new to the school, she had Colton Gray located. And by the time they realized that this was him, she was well on her way to finding the actual Colt Gray, the one that the teacher had informed her about. And it was right at that time they were gone to find him when he opened fire. And it just was so heartbreaking to know that these counselors and teachers did everything right. You know, they locked down, they alerted, they had these new devices that they wore, that they could push the button and get the appropriate help there. And this counselor went and immediately started looking for this person. But because, what are the odds that there's a Colt Gray and a Colton Gray? So it just was really eerie how close they got to getting him before this happened. Now, I was wondering today when I was listening to this about how he would have reacted. I just wonder how he would have reacted if they had gone to him and said, hey, we need to see you, and put your book bag over there. Or we need to see what's in your book bag. Would he have pulled it out and immediately started shooting? Or would he have just, okay, you got me, and settled like he did? Because they didn't have any problem when they apprehended him. He went without a problem. I wonder if also, because they didn't have a problem when they apprehended him and they told him to put his hands up, because that was part of the testimony today too, is that one of the officers walked in and saw all this smoke and dust from the firing. We've heard about this in other school shootings. Apparently, I don't know if it's the ceiling and the drywall or whatever it is, but whatever it is, there's a lot of dust that goes around when these rounds hit the walls and hit the ceiling. And he said that he walked out and he saw this dust, cloud, and all he saw was a silhouette. He didn't know, if it was a person or he didn't know. So he said, hands up to anybody that was there. But when he finally got to the student that, Colt, he laid down everything, didn't give any problems at all. It makes you wonder what's going on inside this kid's head. Is he just screaming out for help? I'll show them because they won't listen to me. I'll show my dad because he won't listen to me. On the one hand, the dad felt like he was trying to do everything he could to appease him and make him feel better. We went hunting with him. He took him out with him and taught him about the guns and then bought him the gun. The problem is, and we haven't heard the evidence for this yet. I'm going by the notes that I've heard before, so I don't know exactly what will come into evidence, but it seems to me like this dad was just bending over backwards to do things, to try to bond with his son and spend time with his son. And the problem is his son was going the wrong route. So it seems like even though he was doing everything he could in his mind, instead of, I think, trying to be his friend, he should have maybe been more alert as a parent and paid attention to the things he was writing, paid attention to the things he was searching. And to me, the biggest problem I see, other than leaving the firearm in his room without any problems, I mean, not locked up and, hey, you can only use it when we're together and we go somewhere, but just leaving it there. That's problem number one. But if you didn't have a clue from that, seeing all of the stuff on his wall that was his shrine to his hero, who was a school shooter. So I just think that just those two things alone are huge. Now, I thought today we might get into some of that, but that didn't happen. And honestly, it was just a long, drawn out day. I mean, it didn't seem like there was any progress made, but the state had to go through all of this. They had to show all of this as if it was Colt's trial to a certain degree, because although they could minimize some of the things, because if they don't show that those crimes occurred the way that they said they occurred, they can't get the father for those charges. And cruelty to children is one of the charges. So they had to show the damages to the children. And they had to show all of that from yesterday, where the kids were coming in one right after another and talking about how, this is, harmed their life. And there was one today that came in and he talked about how, this has really affected him, and he's had to go into therapy and I mean, they're all in therapy, and how, before therapy it was bad, but even now in therapy, it's still a real problem. Loud noises, all of them testified that loud noises really affect them. And they just, it's like the body just shuts down. They're just in fear mode. They don't know what to do. Many of them talked about being afraid of spaces where a lot of people were. Others were afraid of closed-in places. There was one person who said she is just afraid to trust anybody anymore. That school was the place she felt the safest other than her home. And now it's just so difficult to be in school, and she doesn't trust anybody. She looks at everybody with suspicion, she said. She doesn't know who's going to do what. So those were some of the things that had to be covered from yesterday and today. And, the GBI agents that came in and talked, one about the firearms, one was about bullets and the types of bullets. And I know a lot of people find that stuff fascinating. I don't find that fascinating at all. But I know they have to do it. They have to go through it. I mean, every bit of this has to be done. So I'm hoping that tomorrow we start getting into the father. How did the father, what I think we will see is, I think we will see Colt's behavior and how it was beginning to escalate and the problems the family was having. And then I think we'll see how the dad was either handling it or not handling it. I think that's what we're going to have to go into next. But, the state may have more that they've got to prove first. And, they are going about this methodically. I will say that. So that was today's recap. It really was, to me, quite boring. But in this type of case, boring is better than hearing about what happened to those, those poor teenagers and that teacher, the two teachers and all of that. So, all right. So I will be back with you tomorrow with Thursday's recap. This is Case by Case, and